Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Keith sent me an interesting story out of Chicago. It's one of these headlines that summarizes everything perfectly, and it's a crazy story. Chicago police move to prevent cops from stopping man who says he's been detained more than 60 times over mistaken identity. So here we have the Chicago police attempting to stop the Chicago police from detaining a guy who's been mistakenly detained 60 times. 60 times. So this is from the Chicago Tribune. Dan Hinkle and Annie Sweeney wrote it. And, if you get detained by the cops one time wrongfully, it can be annoying, I'm guessing. 60 times? Chicago police have moved to prevent officers from continuing to stop a man who sued the department last week, alleging he's been detained more than 60 times in the last 15 years by cops who mistake him for a man with the same name and birth date who is named in an arrest warrant downstate. So the man's not even in Chicago they're looking for, but they keep finding this guy. His name is Darren Cole, and he sued the city Thursday. Chicago police officials contacted Marion County authorities who withdrew the warrant, according to a lawyer for that city who spoke at an online federal court hearing. The department also sent a message to all officers indicating that Cole, who is 50 years old, should not be stopped on that warrant, lawyers said at the hearing. Those messages were also to be read out at roll calls for several days. And, you can imagine the problem here, where they actually have to tell them there's a warrant out for arrest of a guy with this name and birth date, but don't arrest this guy with this. And U.S. District Judge Mary Rowland said, "Mr. Cole, I hope that this gives you some relief. I'm sorry to you for the last several years, and I hope you get relief and you're able to venture freely out into the world." While the city took actions that Cole's lawsuit demanded, the litigation will go on as he is seeking monetary damages. The Tribune reported last week on the lawsuit alleging that Chicago police had punched the man in the face on one occasion, pointed guns at him, slammed him against the hood of a vehicle, and this has all been happening since 2006. While the stops did not lead to charges, Cole has frequently been held upwards of 4 to 6 hours before they could clear things up. The stops appear to have resulted from another man named Darren Cole, who is named in a warrant in Marion County for failure to appear in court after driving on a suspended license. That's according to court documents and the lawsuit. The stops persisted despite the fact that the plaintiff, Darren Cole, repeatedly attempted to correct the error according to the lawsuit. In 2014, he got a letter from the Marion County Sheriff's Department stating he was not the man named in the warrant. In 2018, he convinced a sergeant in Chicago's Harrison District to craft a handwritten note with personal contact information for the officer. So in other words, you carry this get out of jail free card with you, and if a cop bugs you, you say, no, quick, call your boss. He knows who I am. Officers have ignored the letter and the note, and they've continued stopping the man and detaining him, thinking he might be the man they're looking for. I'm not the Darren Cole you're looking for. The problem has become so familiar in the Harrison District, according to the lawsuit, that officers and supervisors have recognized him during detentions and told other cops he's not the guy. The warrant's not for him. The stops have had a devastating impact on the man's personal and professional life, the lawsuit states. Cole, who has asthma, has often resorted to taking public transportation, including during the ongoing pandemic. His children refuse to get in a car with him, and he has, at times, simply stayed home to avoid the risk of being detained a 61st or 62nd time. And, we've all heard the stories where there's somebody that the cops don't like, and they'll often interact with that person because they don't like the person. Here it is where they are mistaking him for somebody else. And you can understand the problem, right? So there's a description, and the first things they look at is the name and the birth date. And what are the odds that there's two guys in the state of Illinois with the same name and the same birth date? Well, don't know what the odds are, but it's happened. But you'd think that sometime between the first detention and the 60th, they would have figured something out. Now, I don't know if these guys have got the same middle names, if they have middle names. Don't know things about, like, say, addresses. Obviously have different addresses. They must have different social security numbers. There must be something else that would differentiate the two. And you would think that they'd be able to go into the system and flag this warrant in some way that says, caution, more than one person with his name in this state with this birth date. Please check this or this or this. Or perhaps, now again, I come up with these insane ideas sometimes. Perhaps the people in the other county could actually go find the guy and deal with the warrant down there. Because remember, this has been going on since 2006. 15 years. So for 15 years, there's some guy with an outstanding warrant in another county. And the warrant is still floating around out there. So the people in that other county in 15 years have not located the Darren Cole they're looking for. Meanwhile, the Chicago police have found one guy 60 times. I think this is not necessarily so much a reflection on the Chicago police as it is the Marion County authorities who had a warrant out for somebody's arrest for 15 years and hadn't managed to pick the guy up. So it's a bizarre story. You'll notice that the guy is asking for two things in his lawsuit. He's asking for injunctive relief, which is where you ask the court to order somebody to do something or not do something. And so he's asked the court to get the Chicago police to institute some kind of method to keep him from being detained again and again and again in the future. So the court said, yes, we'll work that out, we'll do that. And the court did that. It's great. When courts are solving problems, that's great. He is asking for money damages. I don't know what he's entitled to, if he's entitled to anything, because I don't know enough of the stories. But it sounds to me like being slammed against the hood of a car and having guns drawn on you and all this stuff. When you've got the note in your pocket from the man's boss saying this ain't the guy you're looking for, there might be a case there. There might be a case there. So we'll see what happens somewhere down the road. But again, whenever I look at these stories, I always stop and think, how does something get this wildly out of control? And then also step back and look at it. Like I said, the big picture issue is, yeah, the police in Chicago have found this guy 60 times. The people in Marion County haven't found their guy once. And it just makes you wonder. Now, it does say they've withdrawn their warrant. So now it might be the guy in Marion County is just getting off scot-free. I don't know. That's another question that we don't know the answer to. But I've had people tell me, over the years, they'll say, I live in a small town, cop who doesn't like me. I get pulled over a lot by one or two cops or whatever. And, they're harassing me. And I've heard stories like that also. And, again, any interaction with the police, generally speaking, is something you don't want to do. You don't wake up in the morning and go, gee, I hope I get pulled over by a cop today. But you can imagine after you've been detained, 50, 55 times, and it's not going to stop, and the guy says, he's almost scared to leave his house. Now, 60 times over 15 years, I understand that's a math problem. And you might say, but Steve, he doesn't get pulled over every day or arrested every day or detained every day. No, but 4 times a year would be enough to keep you on your toes. So it is a crazy story. And, Darren Cole, I often don't give the names in my stories of people who are involved in stuff, largely because, number one, the names often don't make a difference. And number two, if someone's accused of a crime, for instance, I have commented before that if someone gets accused of a crime and we talk about the crime, most people remember hearing about the crime. And then later if you come back and say, oh, that person got acquitted, people will still go, yeah, but I remember the crime. And the crime is what gets stuck in your head. Lizzie Borden was acquitted. Most people don't remember that. Most people know the poem about what Lizzie Borden allegedly did to her parents, but she was acquitted, not guilty. And here we are all these years later. Most people go, oh yeah, Lizzie Borden killed her parents. She might have, but a court said she didn't. At least she wasn't found guilty of it. So I often don't give the names, but I mentioned Darren Cole here simply because that is part of the story. And there's the Darren Cole in Chicago who shouldn't be getting pulled over by the cops or dealt with by the cops. And there's a Darren Cole someplace else with an outstanding warrant. Whether or not that warrant is righteous, I don't know. The point is there's 2 different guys named Darren Cole who share the exact same birthday. And again, what are the odds? So there you go. Keith, thanks for sending it. Chicago Tribune, Dan Hinkle and Annie Sweeney wrote the article. Chicago police move to prevent cops from stopping man who says he's been detained more than 60 times over mistaken identity. It's crazy. Questions or comments, put them below this. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Fear less. Hope more. Talk less. Breathe more. Hate less. Love more. and all good things are yours.